following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WZWA Network. I'm one of your hosts, Karlifornia. This is my co-host, Jooseyboy. What's going on, you fucking asshole?
Hello, you fucking cunt. Yeah, I'm fucking, I'm not doing too bad. And fucking interesting episode of NXT. NXT Toy.
Yeah.
New Year's Oval. And,
yes, bro. Yep. We this is our review show of NXT New Year's Eve. And we almost didn't. We almost didn't review this, bro, because you apparently had seen something on Reddit that had spoiled the show for you and you were in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And I convinced you that we should cover it anyway. What was it that you thought had happened?
I saw some post on Reddit. I don't know if I looked at it the wrong way at the time or if it was a troll post. If it was a troll post, it was brilliantly done. But it led me to believe that the match was spoiled, and then for some reason I got it into my head that Tommaso retained the title as well, and I thought that was the spoiler for this match. I don't even know. Looking back on it now, it might have just been that I looked at it wrong or whatever in passing or whatever, but I was so sure that this is what I had seen, and then get to the episode, I was wrong.
And
don't trust the fucking internet.
And then you realize that you're a fucking moron.
Yeah.
Idiot.
And you may have noticed behind you, cunts, the famous tiger backdrop that I'm known for around the world is currently not up because we've been spring cleaning in the office. So,
you haven't got rid of it, have you?
No. Of course
I should fucking hope not. So you had to make it blurry so nobody knows just how messy the room is.
I tidied it up. Can't you see?
No, because it's all blurry, bro. So.
Yeah, I tidied it up.
No. It just doesn't matter what you say, even if it is tidy. I've disagreed, and that's it.
Cold
can of BB
is fucking Vic.
Yeah, all right, bro. Should we get to the review? Okay, people are tuning out. Okay, the average view duration for this video is going down insurmountably because we keep clowning around. Stop clowning around, bro.
All right, okay. Seriously, guys, no more fucking around. All right,
no more fucking around. All of you out there, stop fucking around with everything on your desk and pay attention. Okay?
Yeah, stop it.
If you're on your phone or whatever, get off Facebook. You don't need it, all right? Live in the now, okay? Live in the now.
Business.
You don't need social media. You need to live in the now and watch two guys from Australia talk about fake fighting.
The only social media
don't use the F word. Fuck you. Don't watch our shit, all right?
Yeah, fucking get over it, cunt.
Yeah, get over it, okay? All right? We love it, but we also hate it. Here we go, bro. NXT New Year's Eve. We started the show. $1 million. Unification match, bro. Unification match to start off the fucking proceedings. Carmelo motherfucking Hayes with Trick Williams at ringside, taking on Roderick Strong. It is the North American champion against the Cruiserweight champion. The Cruiserweight champion is the Diamond Mine at ringside. Okay. Give me your thoughts on this one. Now.
Well, all right. I didn't even get a chance to fucking get
Now.
Okay. So you and I were chatting, idly in the background while this match was going on. However, I did think that as this went along, this turned into a pretty great physical contest, like a great technical match. There was a lot of nice strikes and a lot of, aerial stuff, the kind of thing that you would expect from these two wrestlers. The match didn't have that much heat on it for me. I know that they've been building it for a couple of weeks, but it just, the whole unification idea, it just hasn't really been, firing on all cylinders for me. But that's a me problem. I'm not criticizing NXT for that. It's just my personal taste. But the match itself, the longer that it went on, I really got into it. It did get to a point in the match where Roderick Strong obviously resorted to his trademark offense, the backbreakers and variations therein of. Smart idea from a psychology standpoint, because obviously Carmelo Hayes is fucking, he's a high flyer. He likes to go up in the lights. And so you disable somebody's back, You stop them from pretty much being able to do anything in a wrestling ring. Good idea from a psychological standpoint. Carmelo Hayes starts reversing out of a couple of these backbreakers. I thought there was a couple of really interesting reversals that I hadn't seen before. He slipped out of a long blower at one point. Roderick Strong then a little bit later went for, I don't exactly know the move, but all you Japanese and Smart Mark fans are going to crucify me. Send your hate tweets to @JooseyBoy. But he went for that variation of the backbreaker that he does, where he picks up like a vertical suplex lift, then he kind of throws the opponent forward into not a backbreaker, into more of a power bomb. And, it's one of Roderick Strong's signature moves. He went for it. Carmelo Hayes, very athletically. I mean, I haven't seen anyone else, with the possible exception of Dante Martin and Leo Rush, that can kind of land on their feet the way that I saw him doing at a few points in this match. And so when Roderick went for that suplex into the powerbomb move, Carmelo Hayes landed on his feet like a cat, dude. Very impressive reversal. But that was also, that particular reversal from that move turned out to be a signpost for what I think was the big takeaway, the big moment, the big highlight of this match, for better or worse. The two of them work their way up to the top rope. Okay. Roddy gets control, picks him up to do the same suplex lift into a powerbomb maneuver.
Yeah.
Only they're going to do it off the top rope. So Roddy's now going to have to lift Carmelo up and push him forward. And they're also both going to have to jump out from the turnbuckles, obviously, so that they can land clear of the turnbuckles. Savvy? I think everyone at home's probably,
probably watched the show. They probably already know what happened, cunt. All right.
All right. Anyways, he goes for the avalanche version of this move, throws him forward. Carmelo Hayes barely, and I mean barely. In fact, he didn't even make it over onto his back. He landed right on his head. It was an extremely precarious, dangerous looking bump. It was a botch. I'm so glad that they pulled it off, that Carmelo didn't get hurt, but it looked really dicey. Go ahead and look it up. If you YouTube Roderick Strong, Carmelo Hayes botch, that will be the first thing that will come up. The weirdest thing about it, though, Carl, what I wanted to get to, was that Carmelo Hayes went for the pin, went for the cover instead of Roderick Strong after that move. I thought that was weird. Took me out of the match a little bit. In my opinion, whether it was botched or not, and whether it was a rough landing for Carmelo or not, the fact is, offensively, it looked like Roderick successfully pulled off the move. So I feel like he should have just gone for the cover. That would have been a much more seamless way to cover up the little flub than anything else. Overall, though, I'm going to go ahead and give the match a B+. I thought it was pretty good. I wish that there was some more heat on it. I wish that the unification idea itself had been brewing for longer. I think that would have also added more to it. But as it was, B+.
Yeah, good point, bro. And that is an astute point there. I kind of felt like all of a sudden this was like just thrown in out of nowhere, this whole storyline. I think the last time we reviewed NXT was, what was the show? The big one.
Was it the Christmas?
Whatever
Christmas
whatever it fucking was. It wasn't a takeover. It wasn't a takeover. It was anyway.
War Games or something.
War Games, that's it. Like around that time, it must have been the episode after when Johnny Gargano bowed out. That was our last kind of review of NXT. That's when it kind of began. They met in the parking lot, and then this is where it ended just early in January. So only a few weeks, really. I kind of feel like something like this should have been built up a bit longer. Maybe Roddy could have had some more cruiserweight title defenses along the way to really build it back up. Because obviously for the weeks that we've been reviewing NXT, I think maybe we might have seen one cruiserweight title defense. So anyway, I just kind of feel like they could have built it up for a bit longer, but it is what it is. Yeah. Physical battle, picture in picture once again, can eat my ball butter.
Oh. Fucking picture in picture.
Just thought to myself, this is another one of those. It's a hell of a match, but am I emotionally invested? I wasn't so much. It was some nice athletic stuff going on there, but again, the build to the match didn't get the heat, at least from me, necessary. And I just feel like I've seen this kind of match 100 times in the last year. I'm not complaining; it's fine, but I need a little bit more than just a back and forth fucking matchup like this to really invest myself. And Carmelo Hayes picked up the win. Wasn't surprised with that one. It's clear now, especially with the end of the episode, that we are totally in a new era. So it'll be interesting to see where Roderick Strong goes next. Did you give it a rating?
I said B+, yeah.
B+, very good, bro, very good.
How about you open your fucking ears once in a while?
Well, you droned on for so long. I might have tuned out maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose like watching the actual episode of NXT would have been shorter than listening to my explanation of that
one spot. Okay, moving forward, bro. Tommaso was backstage, a little chin wag with AJ Styles. That leads into AJ coming out to the ring, cutting a nice little promo, interrupted by Grayson Waller. I don't have many notes. All I had to say was that I enjoyed this good promo battle. They built this up now for 4 weeks, which is leading to next week where they're going to have a matchup finally. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. I liked the fight between the two. You got a taste of what's to come, but, not too much to spoil anything. Good little segment.
Yeah.
Kind of hope that maybe they were going to have an impromptu match, but that's okay. They're building to something. They want people to tune in next week. And I think, there's an idea going about here where they're going to bring people from the main roster onto the show here and there to kind of get more eyeballs on the NXT product. What did you think of the segment?
Yeah, I feel pretty much exactly the same as you. I'd give the whole thing like probably a B-, the whole segment. I'm probably like, I'm reasonably invested in the match. Like, I'm thinking maybe we should even review next week's episode, Like, it's done a sufficient job of kind of piquing my interest. So I think that says a lot in today's day and age when there's so much wrestling content out there.
Yeah, look, we said we weren't going to review NXT anymore, the weekly show. We're only going to review like the special episodes, but next week kind of feels a little bit special because you've also got AT. Hey, fucking doing, Pong, huh?
Oh.
Where's the fucking Brajol, huh?
Hey, get that fucking gabagool over here.
Over here, huh?
I got fucking provolone coming out of my ears over here.
We have a promo here with Pete fucking Dunne, and he's talking to Tony. Hey, fucking Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, fucking doing, Petey fucking Poppins, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Hey, fucking doing.
Hey, Tony, don't call me Petey Pop. I can't even do Pete Dunne's accent. It's weird.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony.
Tony.
And Pete fucking Dunne.
Oh, what is this fucking...
Who's this fucking guy from the big book of British smiles over here, huh?
What are you, some kind of fucking Mary?
Anyway, next week they're going to have who would have thought, bro, a crowbar on a pole match. Interesting that all these years where they always make fun of Vince Russo in the pole match, but they still do them. They still fucking do them. Bro, this Tony D'Angelo guy, bro, he's speaking my language, bro. Italian American,
bro.
So that will be interesting next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving forward again, 6-man. Walter shows up. This is the first time I get to see Walter perform. He's with his boys in Imperium, and they're taking on Riddle and MSK. Your turn to take it from here, motherfucker. Okay, all the way here from what appears to be the Cayman Islands, all the way to you, Juicy Boy. Tell me, what did you think of the 6-man tag?
Yeah, cheers, bitch. You know what? This was, until the main event, this was probably my favorite match of the show. I really thought, Like I've seen a lot of Walter before, as you know, since going back before he was even in WWE. I've become a big fan of Imperium. I don't really think that much of MSK, but I am a fan of Matt Riddle. I thought that this match, you know, really heated up towards the end. It was another late starter, late bloomer. I'm going to give this probably a C plus. It's not quite B level for me. I think that there was some of the stuff that MSK did was a little bit silly for my liking. A couple of dives where they stood there and just you know just waited for it randomly. So C plus. But you know, overall it was good. I definitely think I'd like to see Matt Riddle against any member of Imperium in a singles match, probably more than I want to see a rematch of the 6-man tag.
Very good. Yes, das ist fucking Imperium.
Oh yeah,
you know,
Imperium, yeah.
I've been very impressed with them, bro. Very impressed with them. We were complaining the other day about how you know, New Day versus Usos fucking 75. The amount of times those two teams have been against each other. The tag division never seems to have teams that stick around long enough. This is a team that you really need to throw in there at some point and get on the main roster. I think that they are the future of tag team wrestling in the WWE if they actually take it seriously and just keep them together and do something sick with them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of find it interesting. MSK have like mushrooms in their entrance video. Like, it's not just about just smoking weed and stuff, you know, with Riddle and all that, the shaman, there's mushrooms. Like, this is a team that's pro-drug. Fantastic for a family show.
Yeah.
I find Imperium very tight with their holds. They're very good. They keep me invested. They make it seem real. I don't even know what I was talking about, but I wrote down, fuck yeah, Eichner, you Italian cunt.
Was that the fucking like the brainbuster thing that he did where he caught
probably
caught him in the suplex lift and muscled him up?
Yeah. I don't know why there are flies buzzing around right now. It's not like it's that hot here right now, but it is
summer and we live in Australia.
Yeah. Could crack an egg on the pavement and it'll burst into flames. Walter, again, first time I've seen him perform, knew what I was going to get. Very impressed with him. Hopefully one day he will finally be like, okay, I'll go to the main roster.
Just for a bit. Just go out there and do like
just for a little bit.
Just do like a 6-month tour on the main roster and have a few pay-per-view matches so we can see him versus Brock, him versus Bobby, him versus Big E, him versus fucking, you know, AJ, him versus Edge, etc.
Yeah. And very good finish to the match. I did like it. Not a big MSK fan, but I did pop for Riddle hitting a very Randy Orton-esque looking RKO. Good stuff. Moving.
You know what, though? Just quickly before we move on, one final point.
Sure.
I think MSK is one of those teams, and longtime wrestling fans will get what I'm talking about. They're one of those acts where the character is much better than what they do in the ring. It's not even that they're bad in the ring. I just think that for me, all of their money is in the character and the personalities. You know, I could take it or leave it with the in-ring stuff because there's so many guys doing similar stuff in the ring.
Yeah, I'm not quite sold on them yet. I don't know how far they're going to go. I mean, they're obviously talented because they wouldn't be where they're at if they weren't. But
yeah,
I just don't know if what they do is going to transition to the main roster very well one day. I kind of see them being there for a little bit, then they just stop using them and they get released.
Yeah,
and it's not their fault.
Vince McMahon just being like, "What the fuck is this? What are they doing?"
Yeah, it's just there's too many teams. Kind of like it's like a dime a dozen, you know.
And also there's also too many small guys now. You know, it used to be the land of the giants. Now there's tons of small guys in there. So you have to be even that much more exceptional. You know, you got to be like Ricochet, man. Ricochet is still employed. You know why? Because he's just one of the most beautiful
stands
high
out
flyers
in that sea of smaller guys.
Just nobody can do anything quite the way that he does it. It's like he's the only one in the world that can do what he does. You know, you need something like that. Same as Kevin Owens. He's in the same situation, only he's a fatter guy instead of a smaller guy. No one can wrestle like Kevin Owens. That's why he has the shape that he has, but he's in WWE. Anyway,
If you have teams like the Ascension and teams like the Authors of Pain go to the main roster after solid runs in NXT, and even they can't seem to stick around long enough, then I don't know how these smaller guys are going to go. Anyway, let's move forward. Nothing really to mention here other than, yes, Joe Gacy was backstage and mentioned that him and Haaland would be in the Dusty Classic Tag Team Tournament. Then we get a nice shot of our homegirl, Mandy Rose, in a helicopter.
Yep.
Wouldn't have minded being that helicopter pilot. I'm sure she smelled terrific. And speaking of helicopters, I would give Mandy Rose a spin any day. Thank you. Backstage again, Elektra. You're your main homegirl right there.
Oh my God.
With the backstage interviewer talking and continuing the story with Zion Quinn and Santos Escobar, who will be having another showdown next week, and she will choose one side or the other next week. I think they should prolong the storyline, but
yeah, you know what? I'm going to say this as well. Elektra Lopez is too good for fucking WWE. I feel like she should be on TV somewhere, you know. I feel like she's got the sass. She's got the charisma. I believe that that's actually who she is. Like, I'm sure she's not. I'm sure she's a very lovely, sweet woman, you know, in real life. But the fact that it comes across that, like, yes, this is actually that person. That's really what she's like. She really is this kind of sassy femme fatale. And obviously she just looks incredible. I mean, I've made no secret of what I think of her looks. But yeah, to me, she's by far the biggest star out of that faction that she's in. I'm blanking on the name at the moment.
Legado del Fantasma.
Yes, Legado del Fantasma. To me, she's the star. To me, she's the investment.
I could totally see her being 2022's answer to Ricky Lake. She could have a show like that.
Yeah, she's way hotter than Ricky Lake, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, nothing against Ricky Lake, though. I love you too, Ricky.
Okay, bro, let's move forward, okay?
Yeah.
Speaking of women, the women's title match. Triple threat. Mandy Rose defending against Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade. I've got some notes here. I like that it was straight into it, no fucking around. Raquel just went at it and just went after both women. Early on, I could see Cora still shows signs of some greenness. This is a big opportunity for her, just like War Games was. She did rise to the occasion later in the match, but I felt early on a little bit shaky. Impressed with Gonzalez with the double Samoan, of course. That is always impressive. As the match wore on, I kept thinking to myself, you know what? Mandy has become quite the wrestler. She's really starting
to figure it out.
She's just...
you know what, bro? Mandy Rose really reminds me in a lot of ways, and a lot of people are probably going to laugh at this, but I think that you'll get it, man, because you're an astute wrestling fan. The rise of Mandy Rose that we have seen, bro, for me, parallels Batista's rise, because you have in both cases someone who looks like $1 million, someone that's disciplined, perhaps not in wrestling terms, but disciplined, dedicated to striving, to achieving. They've got ambition. And then, when they first started wrestling, they were okay. They were passable. You could put them in a match and they're going to get the job done or whatever. Then there was this point for both Batista and now for Mandy Rose where I don't know what happened. I don't necessarily think it's that they went to a 2-day training camp, but something clicked along the way where suddenly they figure out what it's all about and all those pieces come into place. And that is what Mandy Rose has smashed through that wall. She has smashed through that wall and it's in a rearview mirror. She has figured out what she can do, what she's not so great at. She's learned to understand, I don't have to be Bianca Belair with all the power moves. I don't have to be fucking Sasha Banks doing all the crazy shit. This is what I can do. And here's how I can accentuate it with my character work. And she has absolutely nailed that. She's one of the best character performers in all of women's wrestling right now.
Yeah, I kind of, as you're talking about that, it reminds me of like when Mark Henry had been there for so long, like from like 98 to like, I don't know, early 2000s. He was okay, but he still wasn't quite there. And then all of a sudden he became like a main eventer and was able to fucking keep up with everyone in the main event scene and fucking became a Hall of Famer because of it. So
he became one of my favorites, man. Like, I just loved it, man. The matches he had with Randy Orton, bro. Like, oh, I could go on just about that. All right, let's keep on track.
Yeah, let me finish off my fucking notes here, bro. Jesus.
Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, Cora hits a senton to break up a count. I wasn't happy with the camera work on that though. Rose retains. I said Rose retains, yes, in capital letters in my fucking notes. She needs to keep this belt till WrestleMania weekend or whatever. Maybe drop it to somebody, but then she should win it back, hold it for another prolonged amount of time, and then finally get that Toxic Attraction crew to go to the main roster and start causing havoc there. Hopefully they don't fucking end this thing too soon. If they don't fucking ruin it like they did with the Hurt Business, I think this trio can go places. All that needs to happen is that they need to fucking keep them together. And I was annoyed actually that Gigi and JC were not on the show in some way, shape or form. And the last thing I wrote is that I popped a lot for Wade Barrett at ringside as she was celebrating the win, and he's just pounding his hands together with applause. Like he's a broadcast journalist. He's supposed to be impartial. No. That's what I love about a couple
heel commentators that aren't annoying and obnoxious.
Within the whole WWE, with all the shows that they do, number one color commentator is Wade Barrett out of all of them. Number one. Okay.
I should swap him with Pat McAfee, man. McAfee would be better suited to fucking NXT's style.
McAfee would be more suited to just wrestling.
Yeah.
Just get him to wrestle, get him off commentary. Anyway, bro, it's your turn to talk about the ladies' triple threat match here on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, well, I don't really have much to add other than my Mandy Rose thoughts. I'm a big fan of Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade. I thought actually Cora Jade like stepped it up another level with her character. I think that after the last few big matches she's had, she's definitely on her way to kind of getting to that next tier. I liked that we saw a bit more of that progression. Raquel Gonzalez, always fucking phenomenal. Looks like somebody that could and would kick my ass in real life in a real fight at the drop of a hat.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, but she's also beautiful and feminine at the same time. Like she's just, the whole package is there with Raquel Gonzalez. Obviously in ring, she's as good as anybody. And Mandy Rose, I've already talked about her. I'm going to go ahead and give this triple threat match another B+. The classic DJ B+, probably the most popular rating on NXT, but it's a pretty consistently decent product. So
yep, doesn't do anything to really piss us off, unlike another product.
Unlike a certain other product.
Don't get me started, bro. And I won't get you started either. Anyway, a segment that I did not like, but I get why they did it. MSK's in the parking lot saying goodbye to Riddle, who just drives off on his scooter. Like, does he not have a rental car? Like, did he just get there on his scooter?
Like traveling city to city.
Yeah.
Like on the freeway at 11 o'clock at night. Like,
yeah, and they're just in the parking lot. And then the Creed brothers all of a sudden just rock up. Wow. What are the odds? Shit. What are the odds? Do the Creed brothers see them walk out and go, hey, oh, there's a cameraman following them as well. Let's go out there as well and let's interrupt and tell them that we'll see them in the Dusty Classic and we can win.
It's fucking stupid,
this is what I'm talking about when things are not authentic. Contrived, not authentic. It doesn't feel real when stuff like this happens. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. There's not really anything else to add there. Next up, bro, Andre Chase. I'm going to let you take this away. He's given out, his scholarship, and Von Wagner interrupts him. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go ahead and give this segment an A- because I think that out of everything that they did on this show, this was executed the most perfectly. And it also got me further invested in some characters that previously I was only just kind of invested in, but not really that worried about. Now, next time I watch an NXT, you know, you can add Von Wagner and Andre Chase to the list of characters that I'm excited to see because of this segment. That's why it's getting such a high rating. Andre Chase, great promo work. I love the, like you said, the proudness in his face when he awarded the full scholarship to the student of his that helped him the previous week.
What does it even mean? What does it mean?
It's nothing. He's already been hanging around with Andre Chase. That is Andre Chase University. Is him and his cronies in those jumpers. So I also noticed the camera kind of stayed on Andre Chase for most of that, kind of a mid shot on him while he was delivering it. When he announced that he was giving the scholarship to this student, the camera kind of zoomed out and it revealed that there was like half of the crowd was now wearing these Andre Chase University sweaters and several of them had flags and stuff. So it's like, where did they actually come from? Like, you know, like when did they actually get there? But suddenly the guy's surrounded in like a sea of Andre Chase University shirts. That's a visual gag. Like no one even pointed it out, which is the beauty of it. It just was there, and it was entertaining and funny because they didn't harp on about it or anything like that. They just let it be. Anyways, Von Wagner came out, lays out Andre Chase. Von Wagner is actually on fire since he's fucking turned heel. You know, he just is. Like it's at first when we remember the first week, man, when we saw his match and they were just sort of starting to tease that thing with him and Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
And we sort of said to ourselves, all right, he's got size. He's got the look. He seems like he's okay in the ring, but he sort of seems milk toast. Mm-hmm. All that has gone away now. He cut like a great promo, eventually skitzed out on the audience, started getting angry, took this Andre Chase University scholarship student, beeled him over the guardrail onto the floor. The kid nearly landed back first on the corner of the steps. It was a brutal looking back bump. Von Wagner then started grabbing, well, they were plants, but crowd members, and also beeled a couple of those, over the guardrail onto the outside floor. Got himself over. At this point, there's a swarm of refs and officials pulling him off. Later on, you saw him walk through backstage later on and interact with some of the other characters. And he was like, what the fuck are you guys going to do about it? He's really got this edge to him where he's like, I don't give a fuck. Look at me. I'm fucking 7 feet. I'm 300 pounds. Who's going to fucking stop me from doing what the fuck I want, man? And it feels like he's found that confidence, not just as a character, but as a performer as well. And so, kudos to them. This was maybe my favorite segment of the show.
Yeah, very good, bro. And the only other tidbit I wanted to add on to that, because I don't have much else to add, is I would like there to be some sort of backing story for his character brought out in maybe some vignettes or maybe even just a promo as to why he is such an angry human being. Because, yes, he was angry that him and Kyle didn't win the tag titles. But would that really constitute you changing your whole demeanor from here on to be a complete arsehole? Let's find out. Let's find out what's going on really behind the scenes with him. Let's figure out a character background so we know why Von Wagner is so angry and being a prick. Okay, so moving forward, funny little Cameron Grimes video package, but it's time for the main event, bro. Main event time. Bron Breakker challenging Tommaso for the NXT Championship. I'm going to run through my notes quickly here, bro. There was a takedown that Bron did early on, followed by a suplex, stalling suplex, which was just sick. And that's when you and I just started getting into a conversation as we're watching it about how much of a natural Bron Breakker is.
Yeah.
He hasn't even had like 20 matches on NXT yet, and he's that good already. It's unbelievable how good this guy is. And you've got guys on another company's roster who get TV time, and I think to myself, how the fuck are you on TV? Yet a guy like this is only had less than 20 matches, and he's better than all of y'all. Eat my dick. Bron's standing moonsault. Are you fucking kidding me? The height he got on it, Red Velvet. That's how you do it. If you can't get the elevation on it, don't do the move.
Because you notice it wasn't even the kind of moonsault that a lot of bigger guys do, like Apollo Crews' standing moonsault. If you notice, he kind of jumps up, tucks his leg, and then you see him like rotate. This was all one fluid movement, you know, like a swan, like just jumping up and just going over with the moonsault as if it was done off the top rope, but with none of that extra room to actually make that rotation. He just did that all with the power of his own vertical leap. That's why Karlifornia is so impressed. Anyway, sorry.
That's it, bro. And man, that Alabama slam through the announce table was fucked, bro. That was some decent shit.
But man, the tailbone right into that fucking front part where it connects.
Yeah. I already knew at this point this is match of the show. There was a rope break at one stage that did not get me after he hit his military press into the power slam. That's just based on the fact he didn't hook the actual leg he usually hooks. He hooked a different one, so you knew that there was going to be a rope break.
It was a little telegraphed.
Shit like that happens. It's okay. And then, you know, we finally get to our conclusion of the match. Bron Breakker hits his dad's old bulldog off the top rope, follows it up by locking in the Steiner recliner. And man, Tommaso taps out. I couldn't be more fucking pleased to see Bron Breakker as the champion. But this leaves the question of what's next for Tommaso. Does he go to the main roster? You know, what possibly else can you do with him in NXT now? Because he's already been to the peak a few times. What can you do with him going forward? But
well, Kevin Owens debuted on TV as NXT champion, and then he went on to beat John Cena.
Yeah, that's it.
And they just sent him back down there a bit later to drop it, you know, once he'd established himself on the main roster. So maybe they'll do a similar thing. You know, man, I've got to say it's negative. It's a negative Nelly moment, but I don't have confidence in WWE to handle this the right way. So it's going to be, for me, a week by week thing. And I'm not going to let myself get too excited about the future of this performer because I have no faith in them not deciding something dumb like, oh, you know, like, let's make him do a math promo where he, you know, fucking flubs his words like his Uncle Scott or whatever, you know? So.
All right, bro. Well, what did you think of the match?
Match itself, I pretty much echo all of your sentiments. I don't have a lot to add. I loved the counter that Bron Breakker hit into that power bomb. I loved the weird tornado DDT thing that almost sent Bron outside the ropes. You know, there was just basically every move in this match was tremendous. You know, I really, you know, I want to give some props to Tommaso for leading that match and, you know, being such a great ring general. I loved the little touch after the match was over of Tommaso kind of still laying down there and giving that nod of approval, like, okay, you beat me. You put me in a situation where I couldn't handle the pain anymore. I had to give up, even though I care about this title more than anything. Like, you've beaten me fair and square. And so he showed the respect. That's the perfect little touch to legitimize this title win, right? Not just have it be perceived as some kind of fluke title win by this, you know, rookie that's got the hot hand. So I like that they, you know, they kind of did that passing of the torch thing, not in an overly pretentious or overly dramatic way, but just in a subtle way that allowed people that maybe weren't so sold on Bron as champion, or maybe that were bigger fans of Tommaso, to kind of be like, all right, you know, I'm not so mad anymore, you know, like the character of Tommaso endorses this. So, you know, I'm more willing to kind of see where it goes. So I like that touch. I'm going to give the match an A+. You know, I know that some people are going to think that that is an exaggerated rating, a rating that is born out of only just having watched it and so forth. Once again, there have been better matches than this, but the reason it's getting an A+ is because on this night, at this time, everything fell into place exactly as it needed to, and it went off without a hitch. And there's nothing more satisfying to me as a longtime fan than seeing what they're trying to do unfold and then seeing it play out effectively and work and effectively entertain the crowd. That's why it's getting an A+. I'm sure that both guys have had, you know, Tommaso especially has had better matches in the past. Both guys are probably going to have better matches in the future. A+ because the stars just aligned perfectly for this title win for Mr. Brecker.
Excellent, bro. And I think a little bit earlier we got our wires crossed there. I was trying to say that I don't know what they're going to do with Tommaso at this point, not Bron. I fully don't expect Bron to go to the main roster anytime soon, but I was thinking, I don't know what you do with Tommaso at this point. I don't know if he can go to the main roster or, you know, I don't know where his career can go at this point because he's already hit the peak of NXT several times. And
he's
what is he going to do? Go to the mid card and feud with fucking Grayson Waller or whatever? Like,
it's one of those things where like he can have limitless great matches, but again, like as we always say on our show, without the heat behind him, it doesn't matter. You know, like Edge making his return, he had that big heated feud with Randy Orton. You know, like. And now Edge comes back. You notice that since Edge has been back, everything he does is like a personal issue. He hasn't had any matches where it's just like, oh, I just want to become the number one contender, so I'm just going to have a match. And that's because he wants to obviously maximize, you know, everything he's doing. Tommaso is definitely at a point in his career, even though he's never been on the main roster with the exception of a couple of tag matches. Tommaso is definitely at a point where he needs to start being selective about what he does on the show, and everything that he needs to do in his career, whether he goes to the main roster or not, from here on out needs to be selective, and it needs to be, okay, I think this is what's best for me at this stage of my career. Because I think Tommaso is in the golden years of his career as far as a wrestler. And I still think that WWE, even with everything he's done in NXT, still hasn't really gotten all the value they can out of Tommaso yet. I do think there's room for him on the main roster, but I don't ever think that he's going to be a WWE champion either.
Good call, bro.
The WWE champion.
Of course. All right. Well, that comes to the end of the NXT New Year's Evil review. Time for your final thoughts and rating out of 10.
My final thoughts are, like I gave the main event an A+. I gave a couple of other things a B+. I thought this episode of NXT was decent. You know, it could have just been affected by my mood coming into it. I'm tired and stuff like that today, but you know, I'm gonna go ahead and give this NXT a 6, in spite of the A+ main event. That's kind of a vacuum thing. I don't think the whole show was A+ by any stretch. I think that if it wasn't for the strength of the actual matches in the ring, then it would have been probably a pretty lame show. Would have been more comparable to an episode of Dynamite if you lowered the quality of the in-ring work. But once again, as we say, that can only take you so far. So 6 out of 10, because with the exception of the title match, nothing really blew my socks off.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Enjoyed the show thoroughly. And I guess we may be reconvening next week to see what happens next.
Looks like a stacked episode.
That's it, bro. So thank you, Juicy Boy. Tell everyone out there where they can find you.
Yeah, no fucking worries, dude. I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on fucking Instagram. I'm on fucking YouTube. And the username that you type in is Juicy Boy. And just in case you don't know how to spell Juicy Boy, that spelling once again is JOOSEYBOY. And I'll see you on fucking social media.
Yep, and I'm Karlifornia. You can find me at Karlifornia WZWA, Karlifornia WZWA. Find the WZWA Network on everything. Any platform you could possibly think of that someone could sign up on, there's an account on there, okay? There's an account on there. So you can find us everywhere. All that matters really, though, is that you fucking subscribe to us here on YouTube. And you also check out our store on ProWrestlingTees.com. Search for Thunder Mifflin, WZWA Network's clothing brand. And you can find some sick as fuck merch there, bro.
Yeah, there's some sick shit on Thunder Mifflin, eh?
Yeah, mate. So thank you very much, Juicy Boy.
Yeah, no worries, Dick Sucker.
Yeah, thanks, Cockhead. And thank you, everyone out there, for watching this review here on the WZWA Network for NXT New Year's Evil. And we will see you down the road. Thank you.